Hey, good evening, friends. Please don't tune off. What I have to say is something very important that has to do with the pandemic and the next level to dealing with the pandemic. So this is it. This is an impromptu video because I just called a doctor and I've been working on plans on how we could improve healthcare in Nigeria, and that was before the pandemic struck. But today I felt the need to expedite our work and underground work, what we've been doing before now. And so I just put a call through to the doctor and I was asking him about how we could help with the crisis and what ways do doctors need support. He said a lot, but for the brevity of this video, I'll just talk about a few of it. So he shared the experiences with me, which I'm sure you're aware is in the public space. There's high shortage of PPE equipment, protective equipment for medical personnel, and that alone in itself, it's you know very well that the doctors need these things to protect themselves. Now, coincidentally, I just went out to driving, and when I just turned on the radio in the car also, coincidentally, Nigeria Info, the Lagos station, they were running a program, a debate program where I overheard them, though I tuned in late. So, but they said one of the governors, I think one of the northern state governor, had requested for support from the public that people should donate money to see that how they can buy personal protective equipment for doctors. And so there were lots of votes. I was amazed. It's unbelievable to think that most people didn't get the whole thing yet. People believe that there is no need to support the doctors because our government, they're unaccountable, they're corrupt, they're mismanaging funds. But now that is true. So, and why am I making this video is because I want to bring your attention, Nigerians. There is a power that we have that we've neglected all these years, and that is why we're where we are. And I'm going to tell you precisely. I'm going to refer to the Bible, please. So this is not going to be a religious meeting, but because we are spiritual people, and we've learned, or we've taken a lot of our life lessons and instructions from the Bible. So I can't really tell you much without also showing you references to the Bible. I would want to show you, so this is where the conversation is going. I want to show you how people can change the outcome. Now, I once wrote an article and I talked about the fact that that day I just looked at how could we have, maybe for instance, we have about 20 million Nigerians and you are held captive by a few. Think about it. So this is it. I believe that it's not the problem is not with your government. The problem is because one, we don't understand the power we have, and two, we've not used it. Of course, you can't use it when you don't understand it. So let me take you to the scriptures. I want to show you something from the book of Genesis chapter 11. It's going to be a long read. Please stay with me, please. After this moment, I hope your perspectives will change and then we can change this nation. This is it. The Bible says now the old earth spoke one language and they used the same words. And as people journeyed eastwards, they found a plain in the land of China and they settled there. They said one to another, "Come, let us make bricks and fire them through. In akin to andals, I beg your pardon, let's fire them through." Let me go further. It says, so they used brick for stone as building material, and they used tar, that's bitumen, asphalt, for mortar. They said, "Come, let us build a city for ourselves, and a tower whose top will reach into the heavens, and let us make name for ourselves." Please note for emphasis, make name for ourselves. Now I'm going to tell you about this. This is intent, and I will tell you how this affects their goal. Let us make a name for ourselves. Now the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, behold, they are one, unified. I'm reading from the Amplified Version. He said, now these people are one, they are unified people, and they all have the same language. Notice, they all have the same language. This is only the beginning of what they would do in rebellion against me. This is God speaking. And now no evil thing they imagine they can do will be impossible for them. Now no evil thing they can imagine they would do will be impossible for them. And then God said, come, let us, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, let us go down there and confuse and mix up their language so that they will not understand one another's speech. Please get it. This is one of the basics of our problem. I'm going to hit that point. Let us go. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the surface of the entire earth, and they stopped building the city. Therefore, the name of the place was Babel, because the Lord had confused the language of the entire earth. And from that place, the Lord had scattered and dispersed them over the surface of all the earth. Let me just give you the point I want to make. These are the points. The first point is this. If you go back to the book of Genesis chapter 1, you notice all through the creation, when God created the earth, there was only one account where God said, let us make man in our own image. Now, do you know what that means? God was making an extraordinary creation. Let me put it as a product. God is making an extraordinary product, man. And so understand that if the three of them had to come together, God the Father, the Son, to make man, it tells you there is something special about man. Because God had to put the power, the strength, the intelligence of the three to make man. So, and then let's come over to this point, Genesis chapter 11. And now, when men were speaking one language, the Bible said at that time, the earth had one language. And you know what that means? That's unity. So they had one language, they had one vision. And they said, let us build for ourselves a city. And they were building a city. Let me just tell you, this is it. And God saw that they were going to accomplish their goal, their desire. And God said, I used to say this, that God was scared of man. You heard me right. God was afraid of man. And you know why? He understood the power of one. Just pause for a minute and think about that. God understood the power of one. And so, as long as man could stand together as one, we were a threat to God. So, mind you, see how powerful you are. In case we've not known this, how powerful we are is this. God could not stop man by himself. He had to gather the three. So this is the second time in the scriptures that the Bible is telling us, after let us make man in our own image. This is another time the Bible is telling us, let us come together. They had to come together to stop these guys. I'm going somewhere. Please stay with me. God had to stop them. And God didn't just stop them. He could speak words. He created the earth just by saying words, right? Why didn't he speak words? But the Bible said God had to come down to see what men were building. First of all, he came down to see. Do you understand? So for you to be so impressed or surprised by what somebody is building or creating, you have to step out of your zone, your comfort position, to look at it very well, to take a look. So you have to examine the threat. Do you understand? God came down to examine the threat that man was posing to him. And then they had to come down. He didn't come alone. He now said, he invited the Father, the Holy Spirit, the Trinity. It said, let's scatter the language. Now, let me tell you this. The reason why God scattered their language, or why God stopped their ambitions, it wasn't because God didn't want man to aspire. it was because they aspired wrongly. So I put it as intent, the intent behind why they were building what they were building. So that is the problem. That's the reason God stopped them. So let me tell you this. And since that time where God destroyed the unity, the unified language, man has really not been together. And let me tell you, that's been our undoing all over the world. Let me take it now to the COVID-19 that we're dealing with. I've not had the opportunity to talk because perhaps I've been trying to be too impeccable. I've been trying to make a perfect video. I'm trying to, look at me, my birds are not shaved because I've not gone out. I didn't want to go to the salon. I'm unkept. So normally, I like excellence. I wouldn't want to make this video this way. I'm sure you could see flickers. But it's okay, and cut me some slack. Pardon the imperfection you would see around this video. But what is more important is this. From the time of the COVID-19, there's been all kinds of conspiracies about the source or the origin or why this thing is happening. I don't want to go into the conspiracies because it will be a long conversation. So this is it. The conspiracy theory, and this is my own understanding and what I think the problem is with the world right now. So leadership, in one word, leadership. In one word, the problem of COVID-19 and why COVID-19 has swept the world, even the United States that you would always look up to, is leadership. So let me tell you why I'm saying leadership. From the time President Trump took over with the campaign of America First, the world was being destroyed once more. The unity of the world was falling apart. From when the British started talking about Brexit, peace, harmony, togetherness was falling apart. Now, I'm not going to go into all the long history, but if you follow the political track record of the new administration of the United States government up till now, you would bear with me the fact that there's not been unity. In short, of late, I can't remember the details because I didn't prepare for this, but a famous politician also tweeted and he complained seriously about that the world lacks leadership. Let me tell you why I'm saying that. Now, so presently, WHO is being also attacked for maybe conspiring with China. I'm not going to delve into the details of that. I'm not taking a position on either of this case because it's not a political conversation. Also, let me tell you, the initial feud between China and the US has somehow brought us to this point we're in. So I'm just trying to tell you that for every time we stand divided, we risk falling. If you look at the United States, they've politicized the pandemic that inflated them. In fact, you could see blame games. The US is busy blaming China for not for covering up whatever. Also, there have been allegations against the World Health Organization for conspiring, for being the puppet of the Chinese government. Also, there's been conspiracy theories over here too. Whatever conspiracy theories we have, that our government embezzling funds, whatever we put in short. As a matter of fact, we are now living in denial. So because of the stance of our government, because of their performance, because of the corruption and the failure of leadership, most people live in denial. They say that there is no COVID-19 in Nigeria. This is the danger. We are tolling the path of the United States. I just looked at the stats right now. The United States, they've crossed over 70,000 deaths. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand, we're talking about human lives. Before you count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 1,000, 2,000, and you're talking about 50, 60, 70,000. I beg your pardon for the noise. I'm just taking time so that I'm living close to the airports. So for us to have as much as 70,000 plus human lives lost. Yet we have the United States. There are feuds there. You have the New York state government complaining about politicking in how resources is being shared between states, complaining about how the federal government is not supporting his own state, and some other state governor have their own complaints. Why am I saying all of these details? Please, so that you would understand when I make the point, so that you would understand where um, I'm going to, and you can make a decision on where you would stand. So this is it. I want to tell you, Nigerians, that every nation they've got their own um, baggage. They've got their own shortcomings and shortfalls. Now, it's up to the people to decide where to pitch their tent. So I'm sorry, let me just tell you quickly so you don't lose patience. So in the program I told you about from the start that was held, the debate on Nigeria Info Lagos station, most of the callers that called, let me not say most because I didn't really catch up all the stats, but I could hear a lot of people vote against supporting um, doctors as per providing funds to purchase personal equipment, protective equipment, beg your pardon, for the doctors, the frontline workers. And now, this is it. The conversation I had with the doctor I called was to facilitate, first for one, to gather support. I wanted to gather support from people like you to see how we could support our frontliners. Why am I saying this? Have been following the developments in the United States. It's been a pathetic sight. And once I listened to the news or commentary on CNN, and they said, an analyst said, this is the first time that the world has to ever pity America. That every other time, either we are pissed with them for what they did or we envy what they achieved. But this is the first time America is in a pitiful state. I'm not very conversant with the United States history, but I could tell you this for sure. With the little I know about the previous government, I feel the world has not been any worse short of leadership than now. Now, so when the World Health Organization called for a meeting between the world leaders to see how they could prepare for combating COVID-19. One, they wanted to see that every nation gets the vaccine when it's ready. They want to make sure it's evenly distributed across nations. So they were trying to put forces together. But did you know that the United States stood out of it? Did you know that the United States, they've really took themselves out of several roles of leadership that they've used to play? Maybe because of the time, I may not be able to tell you this, but let me establish this. I was doing a research. Do you know how America became the world power that it became? It was based on leadership. America came into World War II and they changed the narrative. If you didn't know that, the British government they were almost conquered by by the Nazis forces. But when America came into the battle, it changed. And it didn't just change, they brought in production capacity. The American people stood as one. So let me tell you why America won the war together with all the allied forces. The American people stood up. The companies there, Ford, name all the companies, they went into production of ammunitions. Now, so the ones that were producing cars normally started producing ammunitions. They started producing tanks for battles. And so you could find America collaborating. As far as kids were collaborating to bring materials, they pick steel, as in this can, what's it called, drink can. They pick it up and they also gather it so that they could use it for production of materials for the war. I'm trying to tell you about. So if you go to the history, you will see that America won the war on collaboration. And then not only did they collaborate as a nation, they were able to also extend that unity to other countries. What do I mean by that? They backed up every other nations that were allied, were the allied forces. So, for instance, they were providing the British with weapons, with food. You know, French government were conquered. So it was when America moved in and they took over. The point is this: the lesson to learn from World War II, and maybe what the present US government is missing out, is they've forgotten how they got into the global leadership. And if they told this part for longer than necessary, I'm afraid they are losing out on the leadership role that they've been entitled to. Let me not put it entitled to, that they've enjoyed all this while. What I'm saying is this: we over here, I'm bringing this to Nigeria, but I'm using the United States to make a comparison, because their case is worse right now. They have over 70,000 deaths. We just got started, but if you watch, our numbers are increasing. It's increasing. We can stop it, or we can become like them, where you start seeing body bags, where the government, the doctors, the frontliners are complaining. It's not just in Nigeria. So let me just tell you, if you're holding on to the corruption or the misappropriation of funds, or whatever it is we have here, I'm not taking sides with our governments, but I'm trying to tell you that every nation has got some baggage. But the reaction of the people, the role of the people, would kind of cushion the damage, the effect. I can't tell you all that I need to tell you. Maybe after today, I'm going to start talking more regularly, so that we need we need to reappraise our impression and our approach and strategy to how we live, to how we are governed, and to how we allow ourselves to suffer. We've been suffering because we've allowed ourselves to suffer. Now, this is not a political move. Please don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. I'm not a politician. I don't aspire for one. This is to tell you about the power that you have. So I started by saying God was so scared of man that he had to come down to look at what man was building. One. Two, he took the effort of the three to disrupt man. And do you know what God disrupted? It was the one voice. And we are still suffering that today. So if we still cannot stand up as one people to speak one voice, let me just give you the breaking news: prayers will not fix it. And this is one reason I try to tell people that I speak to that this is not a prayer festival. It's good to pray, and I'm not saying prayer doesn't work, but this is man's responsibility. So we have a responsibility to fix the disunity between us. And this is the best way to get started. The best way to get started, it is by putting up forces together. Like the United States in the World War II, we are at war once more. Do you understand that? We are at war. Except that this time, it's a virtual enemy. We can't see it. But this enemy is more dangerous. Do you understand? This enemy is putting a stop to our lives. So you tell yourself, do you want to stand alone as a soldier and get killed alone? Or do you want to collaborate so that we survive together? Think about it. So if you take a position and you think that we cannot collaborate. Now, let me give you most of the reasons that people had, the reasons they gave for not wanting to support the doctors in terms of purchasing protective equipment, is that the government misappropriate our fund, corruption, that they should give account. Yes, accountability is great, but that's not what we need right now. We're at war. We would not trade blames right now. When you trade blames in the battlefront, you get knocked by the enemy. You're going to get hit. If you watch, you're going to see videos that are going all over the internet. People that have been isolated and not being catered for properly. So, what I'm trying to tell you in a nutshell is this: we have to change our perspectives right now. And the perspective is this: we must choose to stand as one. I'm begging you, stand as one. But so I'm going to please, I'm working on it right now. I had to make this video because I felt it's necessary. But I need you to do me a favor. Make this video go viral. Do you know why? We want to lead a salvation army. The doctors in the front line, they are military forces right now. It's a battle of the medicals. We have to support them. So now we're going to be the citizens that will rally round, like the United States did, and they won the war. If you come around and we put our forces together, we're going to win this war. We are going to win it. But only if we stand together. Let's stop pointing fingers at the government. Let's take the responsibility. See, responsibility is because you have the ability to respond. I don't care whatever you make, even if it's 5 naira, even if it's what's the least currency we have in this country. I can think of 5 naira, even if that's the least you have. Make it available. We are going to save our doctors. If you save the doctors, you saved yourself. If the doctors down tools and they can no longer take care of anybody, there is trouble. I hope you understand that. And prayer will not fix that. Do you understand? So please, rally round. I need you to share this video. Talk to as many other people because we are going to start this move. We want to raise the funds. And let me just tell you, this is it. You're not giving the funds to any politician. We're giving the funds to the dealer of the equipment. We pay the funds to them, and they will deliver the equipment to the hospitals. And every of these, this delivery or purchases will be tracked. I've not worked. We are working on the modalities, so I'm going to get back to you on all of those details. But please, please, I need your support. See, if you don't support this, it's because you've not decided to stand together and you've not decided to maximize that power that we have. I want to stop here. I'm going to have to talk to you some other time. I'm Noel Seeds. I would love you to please share this video and let as many as you can gather together. Let them put their support together. Thank you very much. I look forward to being in touch with you.